Going on, everyone? We're back with a brand new video here, and before we get going, let me start with my usual disclaimer that once again I am in the four-wheeled studio, aka my car. So if you experience any variances as compared to the normal audio quality, please attribute it to that. Now, with that being said, let's jump into the topic of today's video. So one of my good friends sent this to me last night, and I was really tired, so I didn't have a chance to jump on it right then. But it comes from a segment on one of these ESPN shows. I don't know which one, like I said, because I don't watch any of their pre and post game stuff like that. I find most of the people and the things they say on there largely to be insufferable. But Kendrick Perkins goes on a 2-minute, and when I say monologue, I don't say that to be derisive, or whatever. But he's talking about, the WNBA upgraded the call that Kennedy put on, upgraded the shoulder check from Kennedy to Clark. From a regular foul, they upgraded to a flagrant one. So he's talking about that a little bit. He's talking about respecting the people that you cover and things of that nature. So without any further ado, I want to let you hear what Kendrick Perkins has to say, and then I'm going to come back with my take, my analysis, and my reaction, because I got a lot to say on this. So without further ado, here is Kendrick Perkins.
But Perk, I really want to get your thoughts on this, because I know we started off the show with your tweet saying, I got to stay out of the women's business. What are your thoughts?
Well, it's a few things. One, Shanae, you, Andrea, Monica, Malika, just at our network, y'all do an exceptional job for us covering the NBA, right? And now we're starting to see a lot of powerful men start to cover the WNBA, right? And there got to be some fairness in that. They should be able to voice their opinions, but they also got to be held they also have to be responsible to do their homework when covering the WNBA. And I'm looking at guys like Charles Barkley, LeBron James, Stephen A., Shannon Sharp, right? Why do I point out those four guys? You have to be careful about the words that you put out there. The word hating, the word jealous, those are triggering words for women, right? Like in anything. I've been married to one, okay? I've been married to a woman for going on 15 years. And those two words, hating, especially when you're talking about referring to another woman or other women, those are triggering words. So you have to do a better job with that. They have to do a better job with that, because it's not hating and it's not jealousy, it's competition. Pat McAfee, I think he owes everyone an apology, especially Caitlin Clark. You cannot call her out of her name like that. You can't. No one could come to his defense, and it's unacceptable. At the end of the day, you have to respect the WNBA, respect the women that are playing, respect the women that are covering the game, and you have to make sure you do it in great fashion. If you're a man that's jumping into that atmosphere.
I really appreciate you, Perk, because this is something that I've really appreciated about you, because anytime there's something that happens in the WNBA, you come to me first and you say, hey, Sinead, what are your thoughts? What's your perspective? And I think we do the same thing, particularly me as a woman in sports media. I don't try to speak on things that I don't know. I go by facts. I go by figures. I talk to my guys, and then I know that my game can really hold up based off of analysis, and then I speak based off of all of those things. So I appreciate you always looking out, and I think that you saying those things really helps everyone here today, specifically on our network. So.
All righty, so there you have the comments from Mr. Kendrick Perkins, and I'm going to go ahead and give you my thoughts on what he had to say. First of all, it sounds a tiny bit like pandering, but the start of his monologue there was talking about people need to. Well, first of all, no, I'm getting ahead of myself. The starter was talking about people who do a great job covering the NBA, and then he mentioned Malika Andrews. Strike one, which we know what time it is, has been, and will continue to be with her. And she is one of the reasons that people stop watching ESPN, with the clear agenda that she has with her, and I'm using air quotes, reporting, because she's not one. I think Shanae actually does a great job, or for the most part. That junk she said on the last video we posted on the segment with Perk and everyone else talking about Bronny James, that was bologna sandwiches, what she was talking about. That was a bunch of BS. And I think for the most part, Monica McNutt does a pretty good job. There's been some where she went on these weird tirades, but for the most part, I think outside of the group that he named, Malika Andrews, they're at least solid, and I think they do have a pretty good grasp and the knowledge of the game. And if they were on another network, I would probably tune in and listen to what they had to say. But the funny thing is you mentioned, Charles Barkley, Shannon Sharp, Stephen A. Smith. Am I leaving somebody else out? I might be. As people who need to be knowledgeable about the sports that they cover. Well, you left out a name out of there, Big Perk, and that's you. Because up until this recent run here, where you seem to have gotten a dose of act right, when it relates to LeBron James, and in particular when y'all try to make these comparisons to Michael Jordan, it has been so many times where you have been caught and things that you said have been debunked, because these things are easily debunkable and demonstrably able to be done so. So it seems like you may need to follow your own advice in terms of that. So you say that these people need to have respect for the people that they cover, and that we should keep it factual based, and we shouldn't get personal. I'm glad you said that, because I want you to see the individual that's pictured here. We all know who he is. It's Kyrie Irving. Now, I'm trying to figure out, why didn't you have this same energy for him? You were not respectful of him. You called him out of his name. As we all most famously said, if you put his brain inside of a bird, the bird will fly backwards. Whether it be your cohorts, Stephen A. Smith and not Charles Barkley, but Shannon Sharp, and some of the things that they said, calling him names, and Stephen A. Smith saying he needs to retire, and all of these things. These were personal attacks. These were not based on what happened on the basketball court. So I'm trying to figure out why all of a sudden, when it comes to Caitlin Clark, we need to be respectful, and we need to do it. But when it came to Kyrie Irving, it was open season on disrespecting him. And Malika Andrews, we ain't forgot about you and what you said when you got up there and you used Enes Kanter and you wagged your finger at him about taking the COVID vaccination. But then when the Aaron Rodgers stuff came out, you was quiet as a mouse, pissing on cotton. You didn't have nothing to say about that. I know you thought I forgot about you, but I did not. So I'm trying to figure out then why all of a sudden, when it comes to Caitlin Clark, we need to have kid gloves and you need to have reams of research and facts when it comes to her. But when it came to Kyrie Irving, you could say whatever, however, whenever, and it was all good. But that's perfectly acceptable. I'm trying to figure that out, Park. So you might look in the mirror when you're making these statements, because while you're calling out Charles Barkley, the Stephen A. Smiths, the Shannon Sharps, Mad Shaq in there, because he was launching pejoratives at Kyrie too. You need to turn and face a mirror and look at yourself on that one. But I digress. So you said that the league needs that we're supposed to respect the WNBA. Here's the thing. At a level, I get what you're saying, but respect is earned and not given, any more than any other area of life. And I'm not saying they are, but if a person, an entity, an organization is not carrying themselves with class, dignity, and respect, then that's not going to be given. It has to be earned. Now, and you're talking about that people are hating, that people are jealous because they're not, I guess, bowing down to the altar of Caitlin Clark. Here's the thing, and I've said this before. I think a couple things. I think there may be some angst. There may be some degree of jealousy when it comes to her, because here's the thing. A lot of these women, they have in some ways, toiled, I don't want to say in anonymity, but certainly without the degree of attention, notoriety, and eyeballs that they're getting now. And there undoubtedly is some within the association who feel a certain type of way. You've got, Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark and Cameron Blink, and these other young ladies who have come in off the strength of what they did in college, and which elevated in terms of attention the collegiate women's game, and they're bringing some of those same eyeballs to the WNBA, and you're seeing that in terms of commercials and endorsements and things of that nature. Out of that, some of them had before they ever stepped foot on a WNBA court. Some of them still had it when they were in college. And there's, some people may feel a certain kind of way because they feel like they're still getting it out of the mud. And so they do feel like they're getting this attention and this love, and they haven't earned it yet. So there is some of that. Now, as I watch this, and the analogy that I like to use is that, and Lakers fans will remember this. You remember Lonzo Ball's first game? They played, was it the Clippers? It was the Rockets? Whatever team it was, Patrick Beverley was on that team at the time. And if we remember what Patrick Beverley, he came out on a mission to completely annihilate Lonzo Ball. It was plays he couldn't even get the ball up the court. To quote Scottie Pippen in the Dream Team documentary, he wanted to go guard him on the bench. I mean, he was all over him, and it was clear what he was trying to do. He was trying not only to send a message to Lonzo Ball, but to the league, to LeVar, who had hyped him up, and I'm going to come back to that. That hey, this dude ain't all of that. All of the attention that LeVar and all these people heaped upon him, I'm going to show you that it's not really what it is. And that's I mean, he gave him the work that game. And I think some of that plays a role in somehow how these young ladies are going at Caitlin Clark. They want to show that this is your golden goose, this is your golden child, this is who you're saying is so great and all of this. Well, we're going to show you that that's not the case, and all the praise that you're heaped upon him is not valid. In some ways, another analogy, it's like the Tim Tebow thing, but at least in that instance, the Broncos were winning. Now, if you watched the game, you knew that he was not a major factor in that, but in terms of the attention, in terms of the over-the-top love, to me, that seems somewhat comparable. I think that what's not helping, obviously, is her level of play right now, because she's not playing solid basketball right now at all. We see the 16 points per game, but she's shooting 40 or sub 40% from the floor, and sub 30% from downtown. She's leading the league in turnovers. And see, these are the types of things, to point these out is not hating. These are just the facts. And so when people see this, when people see, they look at the numbers, and you look at what other players are doing, because here's before let me come back to this, because we're talking about the situation with Kennedy and Angel Reese. But here's the thing. If you will recall, what's her name? I can't remember who fouled her, but when Angel Reese got hit with that Steiner line a few games ago, there was no uproar, outrage, outcry. over why she getting fouled like this. I mean, Angel talked about it, and they talked about it for a day or two, and then that was it. The WNBA didn't launch an investigation into it and all these sorts of things. But now when it comes to Caitlin Clark, it has to be a national discussion. And I think that is what kind of aggravates people. And here's the thing. I want to say this because I don't want to belabor this point too much. The attention that she is getting, and let me, because I've said it on previous videos that I've done about her, we know that Caitlin Clark can go. We know that. No one's saying that she's a scrub or anything like that. But I think we're seeing this more and more, whether it be the easiest example would be, I don't want to, for lack of a better term, the LeBron James effect, is that for years, you know, he was getting this positive attention. You couldn't say anything negative. And after a while, when there are negatives that get glossed over or blamed on other people, what's going to happen is eventually that attention, that attempt to control the net is going to turn people against. And so the WNBA and the sports media has to be very careful, because if you keep going down this path, particularly if she keeps turning in these clunkers, then eventually the people, the fan base that you're trying to court, will turn on her. They're going to get tired of it. And you're going to lose them, because they're going to say, man, y'all are trying to push some BS on us. And as Michael Jordan said, you can't fool the consumers. All right, eventually they're going to see what it is, and they're going to turn against you. And worse, they're going to turn off the television, or they're going to turn off the streams. And that's what you don't want. So in saying all of that, to say that are jealous and it's triggering, I don't know where he's going with that. I mean, I don't even know what to say about that. But obviously he had his pander shoes on a little bit with some of the things that he had to say. And I think that, well, I do agree with him on this. You should know what you are covering. You absolutely should be well versed, because we have seen so many times that these people on these talking heads on these sports shows get things completely wrong. We saw it with, for instance, Candace Parker on the whole Jalen Brunson thing. And in her instance, once she was called out and it was brought to her attention, she did what you don't do. Instead of saying, you know what, I was wrong, she doubled down on her erroneousness. And that's what people have a problem with in terms of that. So, yeah, I'm going to go on, because this video is getting a little long. But when I saw this, I said, man, what are these cats talking about, man? They just get on television and say any old thing. But what do you think on the thought, on the comments of Kendrick Perkins and what he had to say? Do you think he was right? Do you think that he was completely off? Do you think, as I do, there were some things he said that had some merit, and there's some stuff that he's way off on? So let us know in the comment section, and let's have a conversation about it. And as I like to end every video with, thank you for spending a few moments with us. And as always, tell the ones that you love them. Peace.